Hello students, I am Manisha Raj. I am taking your paper Indian Economic Development since 1947, and we are dealing with different angles of growth and development prospects, and we are also trying to see that not only how growth can be enhanced with the assistance of internal and domestic resources, but also what is the impact of external resources or the international trade within the economy. So throughout, if we compare the Indian economic parameters on an international framework, then we see that where do we land. So the best thing to measure the quality of growth and development within the economy has been assisted by a Pakistani economist called Mahbubul Haq in 1990. He came up with the idea of human development report, where he talks about three different indexes, which is human development index, first one, then the gender development index, and the poverty development index. Under the human development index, he basically tries to find out that what is the level of the human development given the parameters which talk about the basic development characteristics. So there are three parameters for human development index. The first one being the life expectancy, second one being the literacy rate, and third one being the per capita income, or you can also call as the living standard of the population. When you can estimate all the three things, you basically tend to get the wholesome picture of the development process. Now, apart from this, there is also the political and social freedom involved, the human rights involved, and many other things, the employment opportunities. All this assist in the development process. But the basic criteria could be these three. Because, if you talk about lifespan, the lifespan can only be longer when you have a healthy and wealthy life, or when you are immune to the problems of the environment. So in that case, having right medical facilities, having right knowledge about better life and all these actually helps in development process. Now, if we talk about literacy, literacy helps in achieving employment and increasing per capita income. When you are employed and when you have good per capita income, what will happen? That your way of life, standard of living will increase, and then demonstration effect plays important role. What is this demonstration effect? Demonstration effect basically means that you see other people and you try to observe their way of life, their per capita income, and you try to grasp the positive aspects of their life and incorporate them within your life. So whenever you try to demonstrate through other things, then it is demonstration effect. The next one is gender development index. Now, gender development index has become a chronic issue world over, because if you talk about Asian economies or Latin American economies, we happen to see that there is wide gap between the facilities that is availed by a male child or a male person in the society and the female child in the society. So there has to be a balance within the male and the female in the society, and apart from this, the government has to crack the right balance between the rich and the poor to achieve higher level of development. Until and unless there is a basic understanding between them, it is difficult to get higher rates of development. And if you talk about gender again, then female per capita income, female life expectancy, female literacy level, female rights like freedom in the society, human rights and all becomes very important. A safe environment for them becomes very important, and when all these things are achieved, we have higher gender development index. Apart from this, the last one is poverty development index. Here, when you talk about poverty development index, it is basically hindered towards economies where there is high level of inequality of income. Now, under poverty development index, the most important aspect is that the government has to crack a balance between the growing society, the rich society and the poor society. The per capita income of people has to rise. For example, if you talk about human development index, overall there has been the Millennium Development Goals under the United Nations framework. Now, this United Nations model of Millennium Development Goals have few basic parameters. For example, the first and the most important being that it wants to reduce the number of poor people by half by 2015, and perhaps this has been achieved. And we say that this is a applauding reason for the society overall, because earlier we had more than 70% of people who were poor, but right now we have below 50% who are poor, and these people have better increased their way of life. Now, apart from this, The other reason is that there should be reduction in AIDS, because AIDS was an epidemic which was spreading by the end of the century, the last century, in all the countries. Therefore, the Millennium Development Goals wanted to reduce the increase of AIDS. Apart from this, per capita income, safe drinking water, child enrollment or 100% children enrollment in education, in primary education, was another important target. Now, if we talk about Human Development Index, what Mahbub ul Haq has done, he has actually tried to divide the countries into rich economies, the medium range economies, and the poor economies. And out of them, he has tried to estimate the different kinds of indexes for them. So when he talks about it, he basically says that out of 187 countries which are estimated for Human Development Index, India ranks at 135th position. And at 135th position, we see that Norway is the country which is having the highest level of Human Development Index, and Nigeria kind of countries happen to be the lowest level of countries with low Human Development Index. If we talk about India, in 1990 it was having somewhere around 0.46%, and by the end of 2010 we have achieved 0.612% of Gini coefficient for Human Development Index. So we see that in Indian economy, slowly and slowly the inequality or the gap between the rich and poor, the bias between the male and female is reducing, and there is a positive trend towards growth and development within the nation. Thank you.